Hi everyone, welcome back to FineThings. I'm your host, Angie Yazilitis, and today we're going to be talking with Brian Gates. Many of you may know him, but Brian Gates is a nationally recognized bodyguard, private detective, coach, trainer. But the thing that I'm really excited about is Brian has spent a lot of time training and teaching women's empowerment, which is really timely. Really women's, I say, power, giving them their power to feel safe in certain situations. So we're going to talk about that today, and I hope you'll join me in welcoming Brian Gates. This is like so timely.
It is. The time couldn't be better. I think more people are being realizing how bad the world's getting out there,
Yes.
and that they need another tool.
Absolutely.
And this is a piece to the puzzle.
Well, it's funny because when we first talked, the thing that struck me is that probably my gosh, I don't even know if it was a month ago, I was traveling on business. And I love to hike and walk when I'm out somewhere new. I want to kind of explore. And I started down this trail that's sort of like, we live in Central PA, so there's rails to trails. It was sort of like that. And I turned around and went back because I thought, I don't feel safe, and I feel like if something happened to me, I would not be able to protect myself.
Well, and most people don't listen to that inner voice. Their spider senses are tingling. We're all built with those lights, the red light, green light, yellow light, and you felt the caution light. The red light came on and said, "I'm out of here."
Yes.
And bad things happen, and maybe there were sounds and things that set you into that mode. But unfortunately, people don't listen to that, and they get themselves in a bad position. So there's a lot about being awareness, but at the same time, being the most aware doesn't mean that you're ready and prepared to stop and attack.
Yeah, well, I think so many times I've not listened to that.
Yes.
Like, I don't listen to my spidey senses normally. So for me, when we talked, typically when I have someone on FineThings, I say the definition are things that enrich your life. And I feel like this really could enrich the lives of so many women because, so we have the Me Too movement going on, which, I'm all for. So I don't want that to be the conversation here. But I also feel like women don't want to necessarily look back. Like, there's a lot of looking back with Me Too. Like, things that happened to me 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I think most women, or at least the ones that I've talked to about this, we don't want to look back. We want to feel in power, like in our own power today. Yes, maybe we've been a victim in the past or whatever, but we want to feel like we're in our power. And that is what I'm so excited about with helping to get the word out about this.
Well, and if we look in the rearview mirror, we're going to crash. So moving forward, learning from mistakes or learning from life negatives that's happened to us, they're life lessons.
Yes.
But if we look at that and we stay in that, we're not going to go anywhere. We're just going to be treading water, and nobody wants to be drowning. I think everybody wants to feel that happiness inside,
right.
Feel that confidence, and that goes into every walk of life, whether it's your family relationships, whether your business relationships, whether your own professional goal setting.
Right.
You have to have that inner peace, and that inner peace comes with confidence, and this is a major confidence builder. But it is very mental, but it's extremely physical as well.
Okay, so that's a great segue because, so obviously if you're not following us yet, what it is, our classes for women designed to help us fight back in the worst case scenarios. And then there's other things that that obviously Brian brings to the table that are other classes that can build onto that. But I really want to focus on that particular program because so Brian's done this for a number of years, but really is due to need and request and timing, is really focusing on relaunching this part of your brand, because you're a brand, but this is a big part of it. So I want to focus on that class. So tell our audience, what is the technique? What is different about, because I've had, been approached, do you want to take this fighting class or this whatever? And that always, I always have been interested. I've never done it, but tell me what is different about what you can provide us in an evening that's going to make me feel safer.
One of the things we want to discuss is there's a lot of theories out there. There's a lot of techniques. There's a lot of training programs. Unfortunately, most of the programs are trying to get you to join a continuing continuing training course, whether it's a martial arts, a karate,
for sure,
or something like that. So they offer these free courses, and it's not that free isn't an investment of your time, but there's always the catch, and unfortunately, the tools aren't there. They're going to get you in trouble. Look at the experience of who's teaching that course, and those things come into play when you say, what is your experience, personal experience, and what does your training program consist of, and has the techniques been proven?
Right.
By a female, not in a training environment, but outside in the street.
Like someone like me.
Exactly, and the sad part of it is most of that time is we don't want anything to happen. And we say, well, 1% of the time it may happen to you. That's 1% is going to change your life and everybody around you forever if something bad happens. So the techniques that we do, we take you to the worst possible nightmare place that you can be, and that is what ends up being in a sexual assault. And people have to understand that today, after the sexual assault, they just kill you on the average, because now you got 3 strikes, you're out, and that basically means 3 felonies and you go to jail forever. And those are bad people. The techniques that we have been developed over the years have been and derived from interviewing serial rapists, serial sexual assault people, serial people that have no respect for women and just beat women, stalkers, what have you. The other aspect of that is we had interviewed many females of all ages, sizes, heights, backgrounds that had been physically assaulted and sexually assaulted, some multiple times, some 5 or 6 times, which is very sad that they'd been targeted per se. Taking those techniques and those tools, it has to work for everybody. You can't be an Amazon woman. You can't be the next fitness professional of the world, female fitness professional. So we take those techniques and we look at them, and scientifically the body works certain ways, and we all have that skill set if we're taught that and trained that. The other aspect of it is it has to be something that's going to be very smooth and reliable to you, that you can react right away if somebody does something. In that situation, it can't be thought about. It has to be a reaction. And people use the term muscle memory. We realize muscles don't have memories. But from doing it a few times, it's very simple and very easy under stress, and you have to do stress training. And the only way you can do stress training is physically go through the motions with some enhanced energies. And that's where I come in, because I'm not only the instructor, but I'm the bad guy.
Okay.
So in this class, it's an option that I put on a full body suit.
Okay.
And it's very intimidating, but the reason I put the suit on is because to protect me. I'm 6'2", I'm 265 pounds, a world kickboxing champion. I've done all these great things. The bottom line is, when you're doing all these techniques that are, to me, I mean, I've had fractured arms, I've had my jaw busted up,
Right.
I've had a concussion from being kicked from some female that's 92 pounds.
That's crazy.
So when you're looking at that, and I understand as a fighter and a defensive tactics trainer, training law enforcement and different agencies, that what works and doesn't work.
Right.
And being the bodyguard that I've worked in all the areas in the United States, I've worked overseas. I worked in the UAE and Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Oman and Mexico and all these places. I've had to utilize some of these techniques on my own, but I've also trained my clients' families, girlfriends, wives, daughters, etc., in these drills. And when you're doing these drills and you see the impact of it, that there's almost a transformation in your whole enlightenment. It's like a glow, that you can see the empowerment in people when they're finally fighting off. Because when I put this piece of cold steel, this knife, against somebody's throat, and I say it's fight or die situation, because the knife is there because I'm trying to intimidate you, but if you don't do what I want, I'm probably going to cut you. So you feel that cold steel against your neck, and it's not a sharp knife, it's just a metal blade, but it's one of the tools that I use to put you in that situation,
right.
So that in a nightmare situation you go, I've been here before. You automatically go back and say, I've had a knife to my throat before, I know what to do, and
right.
I'm not going to die. The fight or flee, I can't flee if I don't know how to fight.
Right.
So when you're doing all these different drills, and I'm talking different positions and things like that, and they're so intense that I don't allow any men in the class. There's no other males in the class. Because A, this is a female training course.
Right.
B, I don't want the females to feel intimidated when a male is watching these.
Okay.
C, I don't need another male to be there because I'm not sure of what his intentions are.
Now, if that was uncomfortable for somebody, if you did a family or something and the guy was like, I need to be just there to be, would you be okay with that?
No, the thing about that is I've had CEOs of companies bring me in. I've had fathers bring me in. I've had husbands bring me in and do courses. And the challenging part of that is they lose focus of what this is about. And they're always, there's always that, well, I would do this and I would do that. This is a surprise training tool.
Right.
And we understand that there's always if you do this, I'll do that.
Right.
But that's why you keep training. That's why you keep evolving in the techniques. But in this training environment, it's 200% stronger and better if there's no other males in the class to take away from that. And I've had.
But there could be women, like they could say, "Oh, we're inviting our, I don't know, my aunt's she's not gonna take the class, but she's gonna be in here sitting and watching as,
What I've had is people invite me in.
Because it's almost like when you go to anything anymore, it's just like, even when you go to the doctor now, the nurse comes,
Exactly.
There's a lot of, that's really almost needed in our society, sadly, but it's true.
Yeah. And basically what happens in that situation is I've had up to dozens of females have me in a training area, and there may be 10% they'll say, I want to try that. By the end of my course, I've had 100% of people that I want to go through those drills.
So what you're saying is, like, they get their money's worth because they feel so comfortable because nobody's watching them.
Exactly.
Nobody's like, they have to worry about how does this look, or it feels uncomfortable because somebody's watching me. Then more people will actually go through wanting to do the full drill.
And I mean, it's a very physical course. It's very intense. It's very close proximity. But the first thing that I have to do is I have to give them the opportunity to look at who I am and why I'm doing this.
Right.
I'm sincerely there to help them. So I am the coach. I am the bodyguard. I am the guy that's gonna help them with these tools. But once I earn their trust, and I have to earn their trust, then a couple people come out and say, look, A, you're not going to get hurt.
Right.
B, you will be physically challenged. But I also know when to stop. And when I stop the drill is when I feel like you've broken something or knocked me out or broken my femur, because I know the impact that it takes per pound to break an arm, per pound to break a leg. So when I stop and I'm out, and sometimes I'm out, but when you see them kicking and somebody your size, and I'm at least double of you, and you're moving me back a foot and a half, and I'm being aggressive to you, and you're fighting back, and you can't believe how that's empowers. And then, can I do that? No, I can do that.
Right.
That's what I love. And it's not a false sense of security. These techniques are proven out on the street to work. Okay.
Interesting. It really is interesting. So if you would go into a corporation, though, like let's just say a corporation, because my experience, like I said, is traveling for work, and you're a businesswoman, you're out there traveling for work, and you want to feel safe. Do they do background check on you? Like, do the companies do that?
Yeah, they do that, and I offer that. And I offer that to, here's everything that you need from me, and it doesn't take long. The great part about that is today, with social media and the opportunities to do background checks, it's not too hard to find out who's who.
Yeah.
And I invite that because I want them to get a background on me. I want them to understand that I'm not some fly-by-night or not somebody that's just looking to make a quick buck. I have a passion for this.
Yeah.
And this passion has been driven for 40 years.
Yeah.
I've taken that because what's happened in my life is I've met people on different levels that wish they would have had something like this. Yeah. Because when you have somebody that's had been physical assaulted and they tell you, Brian, with tears in their eyes, Brian, if I had this course, it wouldn't have happened to me. But now that I do, and then they're telling people about it, and they're sharing their empowerment, and they're saying, look, you don't have to live like that. Whether it's an abusive relationship, it doesn't have to be somebody traveling, it doesn't have to be a stalker, it doesn't have to be a date that went south. It can be a continued relationship, but it gives them the power to get away. Yeah. And they need that because, in the class I tell them no is no, whether it's an advancement or whether it was invited and then ceased and you're not comfortable with that anymore. It doesn't matter if you're married or you've been with somebody for 20 years and you're living together and you cohabitate. No is no, and that needs to be respected.
Right. And I was just reading recently about some woman who lives alone. Someone came into her house, came into her house. And that also really raised red flags for me because so many times I leave, you do stupid stuff. So it's like, I can't, if you're a woman living alone, I mean, really, any woman, I can't imagine that there's any woman or any mom that would not want to teach her teenage daughter these kinds of things.
Well, and it doesn't have to be somebody outside. Sometimes it's somebody that's close to the family. Sometimes it's somebody that's trusted. Right. And that could be a person of power. It could be a person of instructional. It could be teachers. It can be somebody that they're around, coaches, what have you. And I'm not pointing the finger at anybody. There's nobody that we shouldn't look at that's a possibility. Right. We do have to learn, and everybody has to realize that you need to be more aware. There's good things and bad things about social media, but we put in that, I'm here, I'm at the coffee shop.
Oh yeah, we put our location.
Oh great, that's nice. I've been looking for that girl. I want to bump into her accidentally on purpose, and we're all creatures of habit.
Right, I'm getting ready to walk down this trail.
And they do that and do the selfie thing, or I'm out with the girls and we're having a good time, and they go, wow, they're really having a good time. I think I'm going to bump into them at the bar. And that happens, but we all, even if all of us do the buddy system, and I love the buddy system, but at some point in time we leave and we go home. If we have the sober driver that agrees, she's driving herself home. And at some point in time, she's getting out of that car, even into a garage. So we try to go through the process of first of all, what happens, what does end up happening, and the percentages and where it can happen and how it happens. Then we go through the process of being more aware of your surroundings and situations. And then we go and let's be preventative. Let's be proactive. Because unfortunately, we never wait until we have to put the Band-Aid on. And sometimes that bleeding never stops inside. So then we go through the drills of how you can stop this. And then we actually train them and practice them and go through. That's why the class is 2 to 3 hours long.
Okay, so we're talking about a 3-hour class, we'll just say, to be safe.
Yes.
And so we talked about who can participate, which is really any women. Age, starting at youngest you've trained?
The groups that we train are age targeted. So depending on the age, naturally, if they're younger girls, all I curtail is the language that I use. But it's still that serious because the attack is the attack is the attack. So we look at that group. If it's a college age group, naturally there's some things we tweak because of the seriousness of the dorms, the dangerous in the dorms, the dangerous of the girls going to the parties and things like that. So I curtail that part of it. And then we look at the young ladies that are, they're going to work every day. They're maybe going to night school. They're going out with their friends. They're doing girl things, or they're outside adventurous and they're taking that hike like you were talking about, or they're going on a biking trail. They say, guess what I'm doing Saturday? I'm going to go on the biking trail, and that's awesome. That's great that you get out there and do that. But you have to realize there's bad people out there, and that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So I think let's talk about the cost too. So the cost, you're talking a 3-hour class. Typical cost?
The typical cost for a 3-hour class is $169 per person. And that's an investment. And I tell everybody, what's your life worth? What's your happiness worth? What's your self-confidence worth?
Right.
That changed your life. We men, I get a manicure and a pedicure, and it's $95.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that. And ladies, and I don't get it as often, but we get our nails done.
His nails look nicer than mine, by the way.
But it's important. It's important. But it makes me feel good. I need to look good outside, but I have to feel good inside.
Yes.
So this is another piece of that puzzle.
Yes.
But we will invest. Myself, will invest certain things that are important to us, but we don't think about that because it never happens.
That's so true.
Bad things never happen. But when you look at what a massage, it's a minimum $50 for an hour.
For sure.
Minimum. And how good does that make us feel? Awesome.
And more,
Yeah.
usually more. Getting your if some people get their nails and their hair done, even coffee every day is $90 a month if you're getting a $3 cup of coffee, and apparently. Some people are telling me it's more than that. I usually make my own coffee.
It's near $5.
So I'm low.
Yeah,
$150 a month for
Yeah.
your coffee.
Yeah.
So the return on investment is, I think, important to talk about, because $169 and a lifetime investment, and for me, just knowing that I can go do some things and feel confident is like huge, because the older I get, for some bizarre reason, the more those fears are coming out. Like there were years when I would just do anything and not even think about it. But now I'm driving my car, I'm sitting at a light, I'm looking and I'm thinking, are my car doors locked? Or that never used to happen to me.
Yeah. Well, and we all do that. I mean, when I was younger, I would go to New York City by myself, and I'd go everywhere. I'd go to Little Italy, I'd go to Chinatown, all by myself. I mean, there's things that I'm walking through Central Park as a guy. What am I doing in the park at that hour of the night? First of all, they look and go, you're not from here. They know that you're a tourist, so you either have cards or cash.
Yes.
You've got some pieces of jewelry on you, and I put myself in bad positions. But as I get older, I start to evaluate that. Even with the skill set that I have, even with the tools that I have and the additional tools, there's things that red light comes on and says, you don't need to be here.
Yes.
So as a man, I've invested more training. I'm still training. I still have instructors. I'm still training with some of the top people in the world, because life changes.
Right.
Things change. So the training has to be updated and changed with it also. Otherwise, we are not going to be safe out there.
Okay. That makes total sense. That I never thought about your training and how your training's had to evolve.
I still feel like a beginner. I still feel like a beginner self-defense person because of the threats that are out there. The threats are multiple people now. It's not usually just one person. One person has to initiate, but at times there's 2 or 3 people involved, especially in the female situation. That's happening a lot more and more.
Oh, that's scary. So I guess I also want to talk about, we talk about the cost, which I think, by the way, is very reasonable. I mean, it to me, just based on what I'm getting. But so you're going to try, and I'm excited because I'm going to be somewhat involved with this, but to bring maybe some once or twice a month in a regular location.
I'd like to offer that because of people's schedules. Everybody's busy, or it takes time to get, to bring a friend. A lot of people don't want to do this on their own, but once you do it on your own, you're going to be glad you did.
Yes.
If you feel the need that you were inspired to train and learn some of these skills, and you have an interest or you have a concern, it's like dialing 911. You not need to hesitate. You need to do it right now. There's a reason for that. So we want to give opportunities, whether it's a Wednesday night or whether it's a Thursday night or it's a Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon or what have you. We want to give several options for people so that we can make it happen together.
Absolutely. And that's exciting. But then there's also the opportunity. So if you have a group of girlfriends, or you have, your family's you got a lot of females in your family, or you're a company who you do send a lot of women out into the field, on there. I grew up in the insurance industry. The first 10 years of my career, close to the first 10 years of my career, and we would go out in people's homes by ourselves.
By yourself, and real estate agents, people in the medical field, the sales field, traveling nurses, things like that. Those type of, you put yourself in that position a lot worse than you do. I mean, think about a real estate agent. They make an appointment to show a house to me.
You just don't even think about it.
You're at the house by yourself. Everybody knows you're in there. Well, you're in there for at least for an hour minimum. And who knows if that person didn't just buy a throwaway burner phone and make up a fake Facebook account or whatever. And they're not going to get away with it. But the bad thing just happened if you survive.
Yes.
And the young ladies that I've had over the years, over the 20 plus years of intensifying this course have came to me, the 1% of them came to me and admittedly said it changed their life to that sometimes they wish they weren't alive. That's sad. That's sad for a woman to say that and with her heart with tears in her eyes say, sometimes the nightmares are so bad I don't want to be alive.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And I think women too that are just dating, you hit on this one, but I know 2 people personally that have had scam like dating things through internet dating. And fortunately for them, it didn't end up, they just wanted money. It didn't end up being a physical thing. But I think anybody that's single,
because we don't really know who these people are. They can come up with fake IDs, they can come up with fake pictures, they can come up with fake social media accounts. And, it's great because you get to talk to somebody and pretty soon the talking ends up, let's meet somewhere or something. But the sad part is that we really don't know who that person is. We've all known people for 5 years, 10 years ago. I would have never thought.
Yes.
But we really didn't know that person until you spend more time with them. The sad part, at some point in time in our life relationships, we all want that one-on-one. We want that one-on-one dinner. We want that one-on-one walk. We want that one-on-one intimate time, what have you. We have to really know who that person is. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those people have triggers that set off that bad controlled aspect of things, and it's about control. And when that comes out, their face changes, everything changes, and they overpower the female, and literally the verbal comes out, and then the physical comes out, and then the bad things end up happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So families, corporations, we talked about that. If you are a private group and you're interested in providing this training to, whether it's employees or partners or whoever, the information is, we're going to provide the information to get in contact.
Yes.
And we're going to begin sharing, calendar of when these events are. But certainly we would ask you to reach out and get the information. And, let's make this happen.
And change their life.
Absolutely. Is there anything you feel like you didn't share that you need to share?
There's so much about me that gives the background of why I'm doing this and why I'm so confident in this course that it's hard to touch base. When you look at my whole life has been, I was bullied in school. I had all these things happen to me. I ended up, becoming a fighter. I'm a state kickboxing champion. I did all this fighting that people look at and it's so barbaric, but I did that because I wanted to test, am I going to be able to stop an attack? Mm-hmm. And that's me. I know what it feels like to be a victim. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to fight and lose. I also know what it's like to fight and stop somebody from hurting me worse. Mm-hmm. So that in turn made me look like I'm the man, per se, and this is how I felt. So I can't imagine how you would feel about somebody accosting you and you can't stop it. So that background, I want to empower these women to not ever find that out, to go, I can't, it doesn't work. I trained it, I practiced it, didn't work. These skills, I guarantee you will work.
Okay. It's exciting. It's exciting.
You have to understand, for 40 years I've been in the training aspect of things, training and doing it as sharing my knowledge. Mm-hmm. And I'm as excited about this next course that we teach as I was the first one. Mm-hmm. That's pretty intense because it's not just a job. It's an adventure to me. It's there's no amount of financial money that can make me feel so good. And I've stood on Mount Rushmore with John Walsh. That's a pretty awesome stand on George Washington's head. All the time. I've been on stage with Steven Tyler. That's pretty awesome. You know what I mean? I've traveled in the nicest jets, stayed in the most beautiful hotels, and been treated like a king because of who I'm working with. And I'm sitting there going, wow, I get a better euphoric feeling when I can empower these girls. And I see that in their face. I see the transformation. I feel it. I can feel that energy in a room, because we are saving not one but dozens of girls from stopping a bad person from doing bad things to them. Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And
you're giving them the opportunity to not feel fear, which even in the event that nothing ever happened to them, that fear can hold them back from experiencing life.
A lot of that doesn't happen to them is because of the training, because they're becoming more aware. They're not putting themselves in that position. It will be a life-changing experience.
I've changed my and we're near the end because we don't want to bore people, but
no. I've
changed things that I do in 2 weeks just by being more aware of stupid stuff at a 50-year-old educated woman does.
Yes. Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this, and we hope you'll reach out and ask for more information. So for everybody, keep finding things that enrich your life, and have a great day.
Awesome.